As the first rays of a hesitant February sun pierced through the lingering clouds over New York City, the aftermath of what locals were already dubbing the Blizzard of '26 unfolded in a chaotic symphony of snowplows, frustrated parents, and half-empty classrooms. It had been a storm for the ages, one that dumped nearly 2 feet of snow across much of the 5 boroughs, with some neighborhoods on Staten Island buried under an astonishing 28 inches of the white stuff. Drifts piled high like frozen waves against parked cars and brownstone stoops, transforming bustling streets into obstacle courses that tested the resolve of even the hardiest New Yorkers. But amid the cleanup and the complaints, the big question on everyone's mind was this: why rush to reopen the city's public schools so soon after such a monstrous weather event? Picture the scene on that Tuesday morning, February 24, 2026. Kids bundled up like little Eskimos trudged through slushy sidewalks, their backpacks slung over puffy coats, while parents gripped thermoses of coffee and muttered about the hazards still lurking on unplowed side streets. The decision to bring back in-person learning came straight from the top, with Mayor Zohran Mamdani standing firm at a press conference, his voice cutting through the frosty air like a determined snow shovel. He explained that flipping to remote classes right after the midwinter break just wasn't feasible, devices weren't universally ready, and schools weren't just about lessons, they were lifelines providing hot meals, mental health check-ins, and crucial childcare for nearly 900,000 families across the city. "We can't leave our kids without that support," he emphasized, painting a picture of schools as community anchors in the storm's wake. Yet, not everyone was buying it. By midday, the numbers told a stark story. Citywide attendance hovered at a dismal 63%, a figure that plummeted to a shocking 16% on Staten Island, the borough hit hardest by the blizzard's fury. At places like Tottenville High School, where the snow had turned the surrounding roads into slippery nightmares, a whopping 180 faculty members didn't show up, leaving classrooms echoing with the absence of both teachers and students. The Department of Education scrambled, noting that out of 78,000 teachers, 12,000 had called out sick or stuck, and only 5,000 substitutes were on hand to fill the gaps. Many educators, it turned out, were parents themselves, juggling their own kids' school closures in neighboring districts or simply unable to navigate the treacherous commute. Students who did make it in described the day as anything but productive, lessons half-hearted, hallways eerily quiet, the air thick with the scent of melting snow tracked in on boots. The backlash was swift and vocal, echoing from online petitions to street corner gripes. Over 169,000 New Yorkers had signed a digital plea demanding remote learning for the day, citing safety fears over hazardous roads, downed power lines, and transit snarls that left buses stranded like beached whales. On Staten Island, where narrow, hilly streets amplified the chaos, Borough President Vito Fossella didn't mince words, calling the reopening a very terrible response that put lives at risk. "This isn't Manhattan with its subways," he argued passionately. "Here, people rely on cars, and those roads are impassable, it's unsafe and ill-advised." Parents chimed in with tales of unplowed blocks turned into ice rinks, trees toppled like dominoes across driveways, and the sheer dread of sending their children out into the remnants of the storm. Down in the Bronx, along the famed Arthur Avenue, the Italian enclave known for its bustling markets and eateries, the blizzard's impact felt like a scene from a disaster flick. Residents likened it to a war zone, with snowdrifts blocking entrances and forcing businesses to shutter or slash hours. At Vincent's Meat Market, a staple for generations, deliveries ground to a halt on Monday, only resuming tentatively on Tuesday as crews cleared just enough path for trucks to squeeze through. Sanitation workers, those unsung heroes in neon vests, had been toiling around the clock, but even their Herculean efforts couldn't conquer every corner. The city reported over 1,800 fallen or damaged trees, mobilizing an interagency task force to hack away at the debris. In Staten Island alone, plows had made at least one pass on 99.2% of roadways after ramping up staffing by 210% and calling in private contractors, but side streets lingered in limbo, dotted with snow mounds that hid fire hydrants and curbs. Emergency services weren't spared the blizzard's wrath either. The NYPD's tow truck task force sprang into action, hauling away 37 stuck vehicles, including 7 MTA buses and 21 ambulances that had gotten mired in the drifts. Mayor Mamdani praised their grit, highlighting how these rescues ensured that ambulances could reach those in dire need amid the whiteout. And with temperatures still dipping dangerously low, an enhanced code blue alert stretched through Wednesday morning, urging outreach workers to guide the vulnerable to shelters operating under an open-door policy. Since Saturday, over 250 people had found refuge there, a reminder of the storm's human toll beyond the headlines. As the day wore on, the city's pulse began to quicken again. Trash collection, suspended for Tuesday, was set to resume Wednesday evening, though delays loomed like gathering clouds. Recycling would wait until next Monday, alternate side parking rules were off the hook through the week, and libraries and municipal buildings flung their doors wide open, offering warm havens for those weary of the cold. New Yorkers, ever resilient, turned to tools like the city's Plow Tracker website to check when their block last saw a blade, fostering a mix of impatience and camaraderie in group chats and social feeds. But beneath the logistics lay deeper frustrations. The United Federation of Teachers president, Michael Mulgrew, captured the tension perfectly. While he got the childcare crunch for working families, he stressed that schools aren't babysitting services, they're temples of learning, and rushing back risked undermining that mission. Parents echoed this, sharing stories of kids slipping on icy patches or buses running hours late, all while questioning if the haste was worth the hassle. Yet, in true New York fashion, glimmers of hope emerged. Kids built snow forts during recess, teachers improvised with what they had, and communities rallied to shovel out elderly neighbors, turning adversity into acts of kindness. This blizzard, with its record snowfalls and relentless winds, wasn't just a weather event, it was a test of the city's spirit, its infrastructure, and its priorities. As plows rumbled through the night and families hunkered down, one thing was clear: New York might bend under the weight of winter's fury, but it never breaks. The roads would clear, the schools would fill, and come spring, tales of the 26 storm would join the lore of legendary blizzards past, a snowy saga etched into the city's unbreakable narrative.